Good morning everyone. We are talking about making of Indian Constitution. In our previous session, we discussed about the difficulties which were faced at the time of the preparation of the Constitution. Now let's see how the Indian Constitution was drafted. First of all, to draft the Constitution, a Constituent Assembly was formed. Now, what is a Constituent Assembly? Constituent Assembly is the assembly of elected representatives that draft a constitution. So, for drafting Indian Constitution also, a Constituent Assembly was formed. For formation of this Constituent Assembly, the Cabinet mission was sent to India from Britain. The purpose of this Cabinet mission plan was to transfer the power from the British to the Indian leaders. So, according to the Cabinet mission plan, election to the Constituent Assembly took place in July 1946, and these members of the Constituent Assembly, they were not elected directly by the universal adult franchise. These members were elected from the provincial council from all over India, and in total 389 members were elected to the Constituent Assembly in 1946. Then, in December 1946, and the date was 9th of December 1946. On this day, the first meeting of the members of the Constituent Assembly took place, and as Sachidanand Sinha was the oldest member, and that's why at that time he was elected as the president of the Constituent Assembly, but he was only an interim president. Later on, second meeting took place on December 11, 1946, and Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the president of the Constituent Assembly. It is very important, you must memorize it. Who was the president of the Constituent Assembly? The answer is Dr. Rajendra Prasad. After that, the India was partitioned, India and Pakistan. And as the India was divided, the members of the Constituent Assembly reduced from 389 to 299. Remember, how many members drafted the Constitution of India? They were 299, not 389. Right? Moving to the next. Then different committees were formed, and each committee was given a different task. So there were about 22 committees, and one of the most important committee was the drafting committee. Drafting means to note down, write down, to prepare a draft on which the discussion can take place. And the chairman of this drafting committee was the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Remember it, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the first law minister of India, and that's why he was given the charge of the drafting committee. Then this committee worked for around 3 years, around 2 years, 11 months, 18 days, means approximately 3 years. They were about 114 times, 114 times. They met deliberately in 3 years and they discussed. And finally, the Constitution of India was completed and then it was adopted on 26 November 1949. Remember it. When was the Constitution of India adopted? The Constitution of India was adopted on 26 November 1949. But it was not enforced. The reason was that law made in the past in the year 1930. It was decided that they will celebrate 26 January as the Independence Day, and that's why to memorize this, what they did, they decided to declare, to enforce the Constitution of India on 26 January 1950. So there are two questions you must understand. When was the Constitution of India adopted? 26 November 1949. When was the Constitution of India enforced? That is the 26 January 1950. Now let's see. The Constitution, which was formed so many years back and still we are following, why do we accept it? Let's find out. Why should we accept the Constitution which was drafted so long back? There are few reasons behind it. First, it expresses a broad consensus of its time. Consensus means a general agreement, the views on which everyone or all the members of the Constituent Assembly agreed upon. The Constitution is not the collection of only the views of the members of Constituent Assembly. It is the collection of the hopes and aspirations which the people at that time were having. And that's why you'll see that even after so many years, our Constitution has not been completely changed. Of course, few amendments have taken place, but it is still useful and we are following it. Second, the Constituent Assembly represented the people of India. The reason is the members of the Constituent Assembly were taken from all over India. Second thing, the people of all the religious groups were included in the Constituent Assembly. Even those who were in the minority, they were also included, they were also given the same importance which was given to the majority. And third, the Constituent Assembly worked in an open and consensual manner. Let's see, how did it work? First of all, they all decided some basic principles which they wanted to add or wanted to put in the Constitution. Then Dr. Ambedkar was asked to prepare a draft on that. This draft was presented. Then several rounds of discussion took place on that draft. The members of the Constituent Assembly deliberately meet for 114 days in around 3 years. And finally, in these discussions, more than 2000 amendments took place in the Constitution. And then at the end, when all the members of the Constituent Assembly, they reached on the same view, then only the Constitution was adopted. All the discussion and all the debates which took place at that time have been recorded and been preserved, which are known as the Constituent Assembly debates. there are 12 big volumes, thick books, which contains all these records. That's all in today's lesson. Thank you.